What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we are breaking down week 22 of fantasy hockey, and that means we're going to be going over the teams with the best and worst schedules and also the streamers to help you maximize your games. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. I know this week has been pretty hectic in terms of fantasy hockey. We had a lot of trades, a lot of deployment changes with these trades, and I will be going over the trade deadline in a video this week sometime in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. In that video, I'm going to go over the players that got traded and whether they gained or lost value, and also some of the deployment changes that we are going to see with these trades and how it could benefit certain players that were involved in these trades as well. So yeah, I'll be doing that in the next couple of days. Stay tuned for that. Moving on, in terms of the teams that have the most games and off nights this week, we have a couple of really fantastic options in terms of off nights. The number one team being undoubtedly the Winnipeg Jets. Not only do they have 4 games and 4 off nights, but they also have a very good opponent goals against average. So the players on the Jets are going to be highly coveted for this week. Now, we also have some other teams that have 4 games and 3 off nights, which is very good as well. These teams are the Los Angeles Kings and the St. Louis Blues, both having pretty good opponent goals against average. So I would take a look at the players on these teams. Now, we do have some teams that have 2 off nights. The Rangers, yes, they have 5 games and 2 off nights. That is great if you have a player like Mika Zibanejad on your team or Chris Kreider. But in terms of streaming, if you can't fit these players into those heavy nights, then it's not going to be some crazy big advantage. So, for example, Alexis Lafreniere, it's not going to be a great pickup if you're only gaining 2 games from him versus a player on the Jets. Yes, the Rangers have 5 games, but it's really going to only benefit you if you have those top tier players on the Rangers. You also have teams with 4 games and 2 off nights, the Ducks, the Devils, the Islanders, and the Capitals. Pretty good options on these teams as well if the players on the Jets, Canes, and Blues are not available. And then we also have some teams that have 4 games and 1 off night. The Blue Jackets, the Red Wings, the Senators, the Penguins, and the San Jose Sharks. Unfortunately for this week, we do have a number of teams that only play twice. This may cost you your week, guys, so you might have to drop some players in favor of some of those players with good off nights. These teams are the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Nashville Predators, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Vancouver Canucks. Moving on, we have the teams with the easiest opponent record this week. The goalies on these teams could do pretty good. These teams are the Chicago Blackhawks, the San Jose Sharks, the Minnesota Wild, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Detroit Red Wings, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Kings, the Boston Bruins, and the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, in terms of the teams with the hardest opponent records, these teams, their goalies may underperform, their players may underperform as well. These teams are the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Washington Capitals, the Florida Panthers, the Colorado Avalanche, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Dallas Stars, the Edmonton Oilers, the Vancouver Canucks, and the Nashville Predators. Moving on, we have the teams with the highest opponent goals against average. So on average, these teams are playing teams that let in a lot of goals. These teams or players could overperform, so it's going to be good to have a lot of players on these teams. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Blackhawks, the Blue Jackets, the Coyotes, the Jets, the Sabres, the Flyers, the Wild, the Sharks, and the Los Angeles Kings. On the flip side, we have the teams with the lowest opponent goals against average. So these teams are playing teams that generally don't let in a lot of goals. The players on these teams may underperform. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Nashville Predators, the Capitals, the Stars, the Maple Leafs, the Avalanche, the Hurricanes, the Devils, the Islanders, and the Panthers. Now is the part of the video where I give you guys the streamers to help you maximize your games. Like I told you, the Jets have the best schedule for this, and we do have a number of solid options that could be available on your waiver wire. Now, all these players are under 90% rostered. If you're in a more shallow league, then obviously a guy like Scheifele could be available. But if you're in a league with, 8 or 10 teams or more, then of course he is not going to be on your wire. But to list this off, guys, we have Mark Scheifele, Tyler Toffoli, Sean Monahan, Gabriel Velarde, who is injured, but he could return this week. Nikolai Ehlers, Nino Niederreiter, Vladislav Namestnikov, Neil Pionk, Adam Lowry. And then we have some deeper league options, Mason Appleton, D'Amelio, and Dylan. What I do want to say is, in terms of the first line power play and the deployment, we do not know just yet. We will know very soon, probably tomorrow, what the lines are going to look like. There is an interesting conversation to have in terms of the first line power play. Will Toffoli bump Gabriel Velarde down to the second unit? That certainly will affect Velarde's fantasy value. And we'll also see what the first line is. Could they do like Scheifele, Toffoli, Ehlers on a line? They could do a lot of different mix-ups, so it will be interesting to see what happens. Moving on, we have the streamers that have 4 games and 3 off nights, so very good for maximizing your schedule as well. These players are on the Los Angeles Kings and the St. Louis Blues. For the Kings, we have some pretty good options here. Kevin Fiala, I doubt he's available. He's been playing absolutely incredible lately. Adrian Kempe, who just returned from his injury, Drew Doughty, Quinton Byfield, who's getting a ton of minutes lately, Trevor Moore, he's been fantastic all season, Anze Kopitar, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Philip Deneau, Matt Roy, and Gavrikov. In terms of the Blues players, we do have some okay options. Obviously, we have the top-heavy guys, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Pavel Buchnevich. They could be available depending on your league size. And then we have Torrey Krug, who's running the first-line power play. He's been pretty decent lately. Jake Neighbors, Colton Parayko, Justin Falk, Brandon Saad, Braden Shen, and Kevin Hayes. In terms of the players that have 2 off nights, like I told you, the Rangers have 5 games and 2 off nights. They're very top-heavy, so you know, you could pick up a guy like Jack Roslovich. He's playing on the first line with Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider right now, so that could be a good option for this week. Alexis Lafreniere could be available. He's a good option. And then in terms of the players with 4 games and 2 off nights, the Ducks, the Devils, the Islanders, and the Capitals, we have some sneaky options like Dylan Strome, who's been an absolute beast lately. You know, Tom Wilson, Kyle Palmieri, maybe Palat on the Devils, Timo Meier, who is really popping off lately. I doubt he's available if you're in a deeper league, but maybe in a more shallow league. And then, you know, there's some good options on the Ducks as well, like Killorn, McTavish, etc. You know, it just depends on whether the players with 3 games and 4 off nights are not available, because I would rather have those players on my team than players that only have 2 off nights. But it depends on the caliber of players that are available and your schedule. So make sure you check that out and make an educated decision. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.